Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Since it's the start of a brand new school year, I know that some of you are probably brand new to homeschooling, or maybe you're at the point where you're pulling your kids out of school and you're saying, I'm gonna do this crazy homeschooling thing. So today we're gonna be talking about how do you start. So grab a cup of coffee and let's get to it. So we're going to be talking about how do you start this crazy journey of homeschooling. So I remember when I first decided to start homeschooling my kids, I had 1,000,001 questions. I mean, where do I buy curriculum? How do I choose curriculum? How do I know I'm homeschooling correctly? How do I know I'm not failing my kids? And I mean, the questions that you get when you start are endless, and it can be stressful and overwhelming in the beginning, especially your first year. So the very first thing that I want to say is breathe, mama. Give yourself grace. It's okay to be stressed and to not know. There are 1,000,001 things that you need to stress about. This is not one of them. So one of the very first things that I'm going to recommend that everybody does, even seasoned homeschool moms, check your state laws, because this changes every year. It doesn't matter if you've been homeschooling, for 8 years or 4 years or, 15 years. And I totally did not do that in a chronological way like I should have because I am educated and I do know how to speak. But, it doesn't matter. Like, oh, I started homeschooling 8 years ago and I checked the laws then, but I haven't checked the laws since. You guys, they change. And one of the best places, one of the best resources you can use as a homeschooling mom is the HSDLA website. They are a homeschooling organization that helps with legal matters regarding homeschooling. And all you have to do is go to Google and type in HSDLA, Homeschooling Laws, and then your state. And that's it. It comes up. It'll give you whether testing is required in your state. It will tell you if you have so many days or hours per day that you are required by law to homeschool. It will tell you the subjects that you're required, because every state is different. We just moved from Texas, and it was awesome because they required math, reading, grammar, and good citizenship. And that was awesome because with it last year being our very first year homeschooling, I didn't want to weigh ourselves down with just too much. We were expecting a lot in that first year. I was going to be giving birth to the baby. We didn't know for sure we were going to be moving, but we suspected we were going to be moving. And with that, we were going to be selling our house. We were going through a lot of really, really big changes. And so I was like, okay, we're just going to step into this because I want to set our foundation. I want it to be a breath of fresh air, not something that we just piled things on and we were just overwhelmed and stressed, because that's not what homeschooling is supposed to be about. It's not. So, our good citizenship was the Bible. So we did a lot of Bible study last year. And then the state that we just moved to, they have different homeschooling laws. And we're in a state that's still pretty lenient, which I love and appreciate so much. But they require math, reading, grammar, and math and science or social studies. And I remember when we first got here and we were trying to make friends with other homeschooling moms, I was speaking to one and I was like, it kind of stresses me out a little bit. Like, I don't know, we've been in such a routine with homeschooling. I'm not sure how I'm going to add into extra subjects. And she's like, what are you talking about? There's no requirement. And I was like, yeah, there is. Did you look on the HSDLA website? And she was like, no, there's no requirement. And I was like, yeah, there is. You should check it out. And I saw this kind of like panic wash over her as I was telling her, like, yeah, it's part of the law. And she was like, well, nobody checks. You guys, I'm a goody good here, okay? Like, if you give me a certain set of rules, I'm gonna follow them. And so one of the best things I can recommend is know your homeschooling laws. Know whether you have to get your kids tested. Know whether you have to meet a certain day requirement. You know, one of my friends, she has to homeschool for 180 days out of the year. So it's always important to know where you stand with the law, because even if nobody ever checks, the one time somebody does check is going to want to be the one time that you make sure that you have your ducks in a row. And it's important. It's important for all of the homeschooling families who came before us, who fought for these rights, who used to have to hide inside their houses when they were homeschooling so that they didn't get in trouble. It's important to keep the things that others have given us sacred. So know your homeschooling laws. That's the very first thing I can really, really, truly emphasize. And the next thing, the lighter subject, would be, and let me start with this. There's no one proper way to start homeschooling. You could just go buy some books and get started, but know your HSDLA laws, okay? Know your homeschooling laws. Now, this was recommended to me by another mama when I first started homeschooling, and I found it really helpful. Now, I don't know how many people jump into this area when they do start homeschooling, but you guys, when you start, there are so many different theories of homeschooling, and it's kind of amazing, but overwhelming all in the same sense. So personally, we follow a Charlotte Mason theory, which I really love because it's very gentle in its approach. It's very repetitious in a way, and they combine a lot of nature walks and hands-on learning and just, you know, reading and connecting as a family. So it's all very gentle. But there are some others I have printed because we don't follow those, so I don't just know it off the top of my head. But there's a classical approach, which is the subject areas are as much as possible interwoven into a chronological reading plan so that the students are studying in various subject areas historically. And this is different than Charlotte Mason because they don't tend to jump around. So they don't really include unit studies. They just kind of go, like if you watched my video about our curriculum for this year and how I spoke about BIBLIOPLAN, I'll try to tag that up there. You know, when I was speaking about that curriculum, it was our history curriculum, and they do it based on, you know, what happened all over at the same time. So one day they'll talk about the Salem witch trials, one day they'll talk about what was going on in Japan at that time, and then the following day, because it's a 3-day program, they'll talk about what was going on in France. So that would be more of a classical approach where, all right, the baby found me. So there's also a Montessori theory where it says the method is a humanistic, student-based approach utilizing free movement, large unstructured time blocks, so up to 3 hours, multi-grade classes, and interest-based individualized learning plans. And then the teachers only instruct indirectly using lots of manipulatives. Maybe you'll like that approach more. The last one that I printed, but there are so many other different types of theories, but this is one of probably the most popular, is unschooling. Unschooling basically focuses on reading, writing, and arithmetic, and it's often administered in a variety of technology and materials without conventional testing and evaluation. One of the reasons why I'm bringing up to find your theory is because once you find your theory, it is so much easier to find your curriculum, and that is where it can get stressful. So when you don't know your theory, like you don't know, hey, do I feel like my heart's kind of calling me to the Charlotte Mason approach, or hey, I think I'm going to try unschooling for a little bit. Which some people say that you should try unschooling for a little bit just to kind of get out of the habit of being in like a public school system if you were public schooling. But the reason why is because it can be so overwhelming to look for curriculum, you guys. But when you know your theory, when you know, hey, my heart's kind of calling me to unschooling, or my heart's kind of calling me to a classical approach, then it makes nabbing down your curriculum so much easier, because then you can find a Facebook group for that particular curriculum. You can Google, you can ask other homeschooling mamas like, hey, I know that you mentioned Charlotte Mason and I didn't know who that was, but now I do. So what kind of curriculum do you use? it makes it so much easier. And I've seen a lot of people who have not done the theory-based approach yet, and they kind of just jumped into different curriculums, and then they found their curriculum based on a trial and error kind of way. And I mean, that works for some people, but we were really lucky, you know? Like, I knew that we were kind of called more to Charlotte Mason, and then we found master books, and oh my gosh, you guys, like, I'll link my curriculum video above if I can, but Master Books is amazing. It's gentle, it's affordable, it's easy to teach, it has a ton of different supplemental things in the back, like game ideas and things like that. So find your theory, find your curriculum, and go do amazing things. And the last thing that I want to mention, breathe, mama. Homeschooling is not meant to be stressful. It's not meant to be overwhelming. It's actually meant to take away a lot of those things that you experience with public school. You don't have to run around and, you know, wait till your kids get off at, 3 or 4 and then run home and do homework and make dinner and then try to get out to extracurriculars. You guys, you're going to have to forgive me because the baby is just getting into everything and he's making a ton of noise, and I'm probably not going to be able to edit that out, so I apologize. But breathe, mama. When you get those moments of, I don't know if I can do this crazy homeschooling thing, breathe and just remind yourself that nobody loves those babies as much as you do, that nobody is going to go out of their way and pull their hair out and stay up late at night worrying and thinking about what kind of curriculum can I use, what kind of reading books am I gonna get, more than you are. You love those babies more than anybody in this whole world, and you are the perfect person to teach them. You've been teaching them since they were babies and on your floor playing with vitamin bottles and trying to eat dog food. So if I can teach this baby right here to not eat dog food, then I'm pretty sure I'm going to be killing it as a homeschooling mom. But you've been teaching them since they were little. You just got to realize that. You just got to have confidence in yourself because you can do this. You've got this. If you guys like this video, please let me know in the comments. Give us a thumbs up. And hit that red subscribe button, please. I want to try to get more subscribers. I've got a goal to get to 100 by, I don't know, maybe November. I need to sit down and plan that. Bye, you guys.